Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the 76ers funeral. I'm your pastor, Pastor Bobby Cash. Tonight we'll lay the Sixers season to rest. Well, tonight we have two pastors, actually. It's Pastor Bob and Pastor Chris.
Good night, everyone. Well, yeah. I guess that song kind of just sums everything up and kind of depressing. I don't know what was. I know which game you could say was the worst loss in Philadelphia sports history. It was Game 5 or Game 7.
Yeah, we had two in the same week. How about that?
Yeah, I know. Just when you thought you've seen it all.
But in my normal doom and gloom fashion, I did say it. Watch the win Game 6 and lose Game 7 at home.
Yeah.
It's a million things we could start with. Of course, the main reason is our left-handed point guard from Australia who doesn't want to shoot a basketball and doesn't want to dunk a basketball.
Well, he's not turning into the other most recent number one overall pick out of LSU. That's for sure.
No, it'll never be him.
No. Well, I guess when you bring him up, I was thinking of this about this whole thing, and I'll ask you to get your opinion. And everyone who's listening, this is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed of all the sports. Thank you guys for checking us out. When I look at somebody like Shaq, though, and I know it's kind of a different era in basketball when you would even go back as far as Michael Jordan and some guys like that. But do you think somebody like Shaq would have just gone to the coach and said, "This guy can't be out here"?
Maybe later in his career. Yeah, maybe. More like a guy like LeBron would. Guy now, he would.
Jordan at some point.
Jordan, definitely. Yeah. Jordan did. I think Jordan did that. No, I'll say that Charles Barkley.
Well, Barkley did that with Armin Gilliam and Charles Shackelford. He just told the owner the reason why we're not any good is because these two guys suck at basketball.
He told them in front of the owner, in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was right.
Armin Gilliam wasn't that bad. Shackelford was horrible. Armin Gilliam was a decent player.
I don't think he was playing well at the time that Charles said that, though. But yeah, Armin Gilliam, he did have some decent games and decent times for the Sixers. He had a strange haircut too.
Yeah, I thought he scored like 17 points a game. But let's talk about this team. Basically, to recap the game, they played heartless. They played soulless. They had no game plan. There was too many turnovers. They missed too many close shots. Tobias Harris missed two gimmies that I can think of. Dwight Howard gave you nothing, which I was surprised. Dwight Howard had a decent year. Come playoff time, it's just and you think with his size that he would have dominated a team like Atlanta, a team that played no defense. The team had one center. They had Capella. John Collins got a lot of rebounds. He played good. John Collins, I don't see him ever playing that well again, probably. I don't think he missed a shot the whole series. But yeah, you talk about Capella, you talk about Howard. I mean, George Hill. When they got George Hill, everybody in the town was happy. We got George Hill. I wasn't happy about George Hill. I said it on the show. George Hill isn't going to give you anything. He's washed up. He's in the same sentence as a Wes Matthews, a Danny Green. They're guys that have been in the league forever, stealing money. They give you nothing. Danny Green a little more because he did win 2 titles with his defense and also with the players he played with. He played with superstars his whole career. Tim Duncan, LeBron, and Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. He was surrounded by stars.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Anthony Davis. I mean, what can I say? The only person that I wouldn't mind having on the team next year is Joel Embiid. And people may say Seth Curry after the series, but I don't even think he's going to be back because he probably played himself into a new contract.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his contract situation is, and with him being a relative there, I guess he's the son-in-law of Doc Rivers. I expected that he could be back. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who you would have to say, hey, Tyrese Maxey, as young as he is, he'll be back. I mean, Thibault can give you.
I'm sorry.
Offense.
You're right, Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey's your starting point guard next year.
Depending, unless there's someone going in the off season, that's probably what you're looking at. Well, unless of course Ben Simmons is still on the team, which at this point, that's exactly what I think it will be.
I don't know what you can even get for Simmons right now. You're going to have to get a player not happy somewhere else. That's going.
Well, that's true. That's what you would have to hope for. I think there's one definite move that could be made, and I don't know if it makes the Sixers a contender or not, and that would be sending him to Washington for Russell Westbrook. That would be done. That I think would be done, but I don't know if that's something that the Sixers would do.
No, it depends if the Sixers want to go, all out for one season.
Right.
Russell Westbrook's 33 years old. Still has a lot in the tank. I mean, he had a great year this year. He could still put up numbers. Can he win is the question.
He's not the greatest shooter that you're ever going to see. But here's the thing. How hard does he dunk that ball that Ben Simmons passed in Game 7?
Yeah, that's 99% of the players in the NBA do. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, I don't know. And today we had the press conference there from the general manager of the Sixers, Daryl Morey, and it was is it Morey or Morley?
Morey.
And I didn't expect him to say anything, so he didn't.
Well, he's not going to say. He can't say anything. I don't think.
Right. I guess the most telling thing was after Game 7, the question to Coach Rivers was, is Ben Simmons a point guard on a championship team? And he's like, I can't. I don't know how to answer that. And the follow-up question should have been, are you still able to coach a championship team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not. Well, yeah, he did one. Every time I keep forgetting that he did win a championship, but he didn't win the championship. The players won the championship.
Yeah, well, it's been so long. It goes all the way back to when it went all the way back to when the Phillies had won the World Series.
What, in the year that he won in Boston?
It was 2008, correct?
Yeah. That the Celtics won the championship?
Yeah.
I like this. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would say it sounds about right.
Are we having a sound problem?
I'm just hearing that you're better. I was seeing if you were talking through your speaker, but I don't want to say this on the air.
Oh, no. I have some headphones that works. As long as the sound's good.
It just got better. Thanks, Taryn. Taryn just let me know that on the message board.
Great. Yeah, let me know. I think that was 2008. That Doc Rivers. It's been that long. It was. Yeah, but it was the Celtics over the Lakers. 3-1.
4 games to 1.
4. I'm sorry. I'm looking here. Boston leads 3-1, and then they won. Game 5. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. Being a fan and us doing this show, but being fans of Philadelphia, there's a lot of other people who we listen to, and especially on Twitter and things, and they're just as confused and as shocked to be able to put this in any kind of perspective. And I guess, I mean, in a joking way, the only positive thing to look at is there's not 4 more frustrating games of Ben Simmons this year.
Yeah. Now we're having sound problems again. I don't know. That's They're saying they can't hear you. Now it's better. Now it's better. Yeah, it's not me. It's you. It's better than earlier. I don't know. I'm not doing anything different.
Okay. Let me try this and tell me if it's...
Raise the volume on your phone.
Is it better now?
I don't know. I'm going by what the listeners say.
Okay.
And then Washington takes a 3-1 lead in the top of the third over the Phillies. It's hard for me to even watch. It's 48 hours later, and it's hard for me to even watch sports right now. It's going to be impossible to watch a Sixers game for me until, probably 50 games. I'm going to watch them, of course, but to get over this, it's going to take probably 50 games into next year. And I hope it's a totally different team because we've been down the road with this team. Even Tobias Harris.
I would not miss Tobias Harris at all.
Nah.
Well, Zach Wheeler is, like, I think there's something going around, and Ben Simmons caught it, and now Zach Wheeler has it.
Yeah, but at least Ben Simmons was on the mound. He would just keep going for a pickoff at first base.
True. And you look at it now, and I've seen some people make this comment about the situation. And the first person, this was actually after Game 5 when I heard Colin Cowherd, what he said, maybe this is the best thing for the Sixers. That this is, and I understand the point that he's making. It's like, okay, so I guess my question to you is this finally that final straw that does push the buttons to make change that causes this team to actually become a true contender?
I mean, what buttons do you press? I mean, I thought it was a home run. What you have to make moves, obviously, and you have to make the right moves. The problem is the NBA is not loaded with talent. It's not loaded with guys that are, waiting to be moved that can jump right into a team like the Sixers and win.
Right, and it's not one of those. It's one of those situations where you have to look at it with Ben Simmons, where somebody would think that they can fix what's wrong with him.
At first, they have to figure out what's wrong with him because he doesn't communicate.
True.
I would love to be on the inside of this team and with the team daily and see how he is with his coach and see how he is with the other players. The only thing I've ever heard is that when they're practicing and they're out in the court, he's in the locker room playing video games. I've heard that from an employee down at the stadium.
Does his character in the video games shoot?
No, he shoots a gun. He plays Call of Duty. That's all he does.
Okay. Well, then he shoots the gun. Okay, well, or does he play Call of Duty not shoot there also?
Maybe he just walks around.
Yeah.
He passes the gun to other shooters.
And finds places to hide
I didn't think we'd laugh.
Yeah. It's a frustrating thing, too, because we're not talking about a guy who you can say, okay, well, he had a really bad series. He's not. This is an all-star. This is the first pick in the draft. This
I know.
is a guy who a lot of people consider to be an up-and-coming LeBron James or somebody who is going to be a transcendent player in the league. And all he's done is regress, and it's hard to put your finger on it. As to why, it's just one of those things you watch it and you just shake your head as a Sixers fan. And I'm like you. I don't know. And I guess the thing would be see what he does here in the off season. Not just specifically with Ben Simmons. I mean, of course, that's not the main focus what they do there. But are there other pieces? I mean, obviously, the bench needs a serious upgrade. And saying that, the problem is the bench was in the game too much. A lot of these games against the Hawks, there was way too much bench.
Right, and you watched the Brooklyn game. Brooklyn went out fighting. At least they, Kevin Durant gave it all he had. He played 53 minutes. It wasn't even a question. He was going to play every minute. The Sixers just treated it like a regular season game. All the rotations, and George Hill played 22 minutes in the last game.
That just about sums up Coach Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's okay for George Hill to play 22 minutes if George Hill is a plus 20 or not a minus 20. Then
Right.
you see a reason for him to be out there. But
Well, what did he show you this year that told you that he deserved to be out there for 22 minutes? Nothing. And then he brings Shake Milton in the fourth quarter, cold, like he's going to step right in and deliver.
yeah, it worked. I think it worked one game in the series.
Yeah.
Bringing Shake Milton, but in game 7, that wasn't going to happen.
Game 7 in the fourth quarter, hasn't taken a shot all night. Come on.
Ever since we started doing this show, when we talked about the Sixers, it was we got to get that number 1 seed. Have on court.
Yeah, we got it, and we threw it away.
I mean, this isn't. I mean, this would be frustrating if it was the Nets or the Bucks, but this was the Atlanta Hawks.
And we'll see in the next series whether or not the Hawks are for real. I mean, you're going to see if Milwaukee sweeps them, then something's seriously wrong.
Correct. This is not a year where we're going to look back and say the Sixers. I don't think so. Where we're going to look back and say the Philadelphia 76ers were eliminated in 7 games to the eventual NBA champions. If we do, that's going to be the shock of all shocks.
Yeah, at this point, it looks like you were right. I think Phoenix may win the title. A young team with they don't have a veteran on the roster besides Chris Paul. I mean, they're a young 2-3 year player. Jay Crowder, I'm sorry, but Devin Booker and Ayton and Mikal Bridges from Villanova, a guy the Sixers drafted.
Yeah,
may win a title this early in their career.
And when you look at a guy like Devin Booker, it's like, okay, he understands the gravity of the situation, and he is as excited as can be to be in the playoffs, and he's playing his best basketball right now, which that makes that person a superstar.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing in the West. It may, I don't think they play the defense that we play. And frankly, I didn't think the Sixers games were going to be grinded out games like they were. The Sixers made it that way. They played that way. They're a running team. They're a defense to offense running team. And they played into the Hawks' hands, keeping the games low. That's the only way the Hawks could have won. Now, if Simmons gives you his 15 points that he's supposed to give you, the Sixers sweep.
Well, and the other thing too is you're correct. What was so frustrating was watching the last 4 games and seeing Simmons, the way he was passing the ball, when he was passing the ball, and who he was passing it to, and where that person was on the floor. There was no way you could run an offense that way. It came down to the point where, okay, Joel Embiid was getting the ball at the top of the key. It was like, okay, see if you can beat the guy off the dribble. And the only reason that was happening was because the point guard didn't want the ball.
Yeah, and I'm screaming the whole series that Embiid needs to post deep and catch the ball deep in the paint. Why have to dribble back down, dribble back down? What's wrong with the point guard dribbling the ball up and being a point guard? He doesn't have to come up and hand the ball away the second he comes up the court.
No, I agree. And that was the thing, too. There's times Embiid was trying to back someone down, and if the double team came, it was... Fortunately, Curry was able to make some shots in some of those games, but at that point, the double team is even more effective because you have a guy out there who's not going to shoot. And the other thing too is once they realized at some point where Embiid would get that ball and he was trying to back somebody down, if they put any kind of defense on him, he had to do a turnaround shot, and those are he makes a good bit of them, but that's not his strong.
Yeah, that's a lower percentage shot. Sure, he's better when he's facing the basket or backing down deep, but he wasn't backing down deep too often. He had to work too hard to get his points.
No, and the thing too that was frustrating when you would have that the double team would come and he would look to pass the ball. I mean, it was Curry who could make the shots, but then when you were giving it to Tobias Harris, I mean, there was a couple games there, especially I think it was Game 5, I think, in the second half, maybe in some Game 6, and we saw some of it in Game 7 too. He had those wide open layups for a short mid-range shot. He come up short.
Yeah, Taryn checks in on the chat board and says he wouldn't mind seeing the Suns in the championship. Said the Clippers fans were flexing and celebrating like they won the championship. I guess he means the end of last series. And yeah, how many Clippers fans are actually out there though, compared to Lakers fans?
Compared to the Lakers, you're right. You're right.
How could it? Go ahead.
It's going to depend on Kawhi Leonard, I think, coming back.
Yeah. I'm going to say, how could a Clippers fan ever talk to a Lakers fan that they have, no titles to how many? How many titles do Lakers have?
Oh, boy.
15, maybe? How many championships have the Lakers won, Taryn? Let us know on the board.
Yeah.
And I think
I think this is the first time that the
17. I said.
First time Clippers even made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it is. I was close. I said 15. He said they've won 17.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's like that's like a Mets fan talking smack to a Yankees fan.
True. True. We don't have anything to compare that to in the city. It wouldn't be like a Flyers fan talking smack to an Eagles fan. No. Sorry, we got to go to New York and LA to get
championships.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. It'd be kind of. Well, let's see. The Bears had that one Super Bowl, but a Bears fan talking smack, to the Bulls who had Jordan for all those years. But I just couldn't see Michael Jordan being on a team and having someone playing like Ben Simmons was playing, and Jordan not speaking up and saying,
not saying anything.
Yeah, this guy can't get out here.
Now, if you watch after Simmons passed up the dunk, Embiid does say something to him. And I kind of read Simmons' lips as saying something to the effect of "they would have fouled me." He said something about "fouled me." I watched it.
I agree. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, someone had posted a good shot of Embiid on Twitter after that, and just his body language. His body language was like, "Oh, okay, this series is over." And he said as much. He said as much in the. In the post game,
when Young hit the three, I walked away from the TV. I didn't even watch the end. My daughter and my wife were still watching the game in the other room, like they had a chance. I knew it was over. I didn't want to see it anymore.
Yeah, I figured as much then too. And
me and you texting back and forth. We said it was over in the third quarter, the way they were playing.
And when you go back to that play, I mean, Matisse Thybulle, he tried to throw it down, and he got fouled. Like, the Hawks did the right thing there, and once he missed one of those foul shots, that was essentially the game. But we're sitting here breaking down a 30-second span in a Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks, who were the 5 seed, and the Sixers were the 1 seed, and lost 3 at home. I mean, it shouldn't even have come to that.
I think the Sixers were 61-9 in their last 70 home games. They lost 3 out of 4.
Yeah, and Atlanta was a plus 240 going into that Game 7. And, hey, if anyone took them, good for them.
Oh, the 7 points was a gift. That was like saying, how much cash do you want to win here? Just take it. 7 points. The Sixers weren't covering that. Every game was in the same score range, it seemed, the last 4 games.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, though, was the odds makers looking at the game as a lot of us fans As Philadelphia fans, we looked at that game thinking, here we go again. But when you try to just step outside and put everything else into perspective as just a basketball fan, and you looked at that game, it's like, well, the Sixers blow them out easily.
I didn't think that. No, I never thought that. I want to say, we usually agree, but I'll disagree. I did not think the Sixers could blow them out because but even going forward, this Sixers team, how are they going to score points? They don't, without Simmons scoring, and we knew he wasn't going to score because he wasn't going to shoot in the fourth quarter because he hadn't shot in the fourth quarter the last 4 games. How are the Sixers going to score? Say Embiid scores 40, Harris scores 20. Where are you getting another 50 points from?
Yeah, because you got 15 to 18 from Curry.
Okay, that's 75 to 80.
Right.
All right. Who else is scoring? He doesn't play Maxey. You got Thibault in the game who can't score. Howard can't score. Simmons can't score. And he had them on the court at the same time in the second quarter. The 3 of those players were on the court at the same time.
And if you throw Korkmaz out there, yes, he will make the 3 every now and then.
Not in the playoffs.
And the other problem is he's not stopping anyone on defense.
No.
So, and that was the thing too. Seth Curry was scoring, but Seth Curry wasn't stopping anybody either.
And doesn't it seem like every year in the playoffs, it's the same thing? Whoever the Sixers put out there, the other team attacks. Now, who are we attacking? Are we attacking Trae Young? Trae Young was the worst rated defender in the NBA.
Well, in Game 5, it was Trae Young and Lou Williams out there. I mean, Bobby, me and you could score some points on them.
I know. They zero defense.
They don't want to. I mean, seriously, they're not good defenders. Obviously, we're not scoring points on them, but they did what they did. They're out there. Okay, they'll let you have a 2-point shot or try to make you have a difficult 3-point shot, and they'll come down and try to shoot threes, and they were making them in Game 5, and that's how they came back to win. And the Sixers, for whatever reason, they couldn't do anything to make an adjustment. Okay. The league goes from 26 to 18, and you call timeout. Well, what adjustment was made? Because the league then went down to 18, and then it went to 8, and then it went to 6, and then it was gone.
It just felt that all we needed to do was get a basket to stop to stop it, and they couldn't get a basket. They don't have a player on the team that I was going to say LeBron James. Nobody has a LeBron James, but they don't have a player that can drive to the hole, get fouled, go make 2 foul shots. Embiid should be that player, but he was settling for 20-footers, 3-pointers, fall away jumpers. I mean, if he's getting doubled, he needs to kick the 3-point shooter. Did not having Danny Green hurt them? I guess it did.
Not getting Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline.
Exactly. That's the kind of player they needed there. That's the killer that they needed. And
he was available. Now I understand. I don't know all the specifics and everything. If it was Maxey, they would have needed to give up Maxey 5, or what picks were needed to give up. All these different things that would have went into it. But if Kyle Lowry's on, well, I guess I can't say that because we've seen things with the Sixers before. But it would have been nice to have a player like that out there.
Yeah. I mean, talking.
But you would think the first pick in the draft, who is a max contract making $30 million a year, who is an all-star, would be able to give you something. So I guess the thing is, you look back and say, well, not getting Kyle Lowry was the wrong move. But when that was made, did anyone think Simmons would be this bad?
Never. And that what gets you even more is that he doesn't admit it, that he doesn't say it. He doesn't say, I stunk. I need to do.
Let him not see it like in Minnesota or somewhere, or let him not see it in New Orleans.
Well, that's what he needs. He needs to be on a team like that in a city that doesn't care. That's what he needs.
The one interesting, and I don't think this would ever happen, but if you step outside everything and you look at everything just as a pure basketball person, the best place for Ben Simmons to land to actually help a team that would actually put this team over the top would be Brooklyn, because they don't need him to score in Brooklyn.
I don't think they can do it salary wise though.
No, I don't think they can either. But that would be that's what he needs.
Yeah.
And how many teams are like that? There's one. There's Brooklyn. Maybe pieces are still left in Golden State. I'm not sure, but still.
I mean, you say he needs Brooklyn, but I don't think Brooklyn needs him.
No.
Or wants right. him.
No, you're exactly right.
I don't know that there's an NBA team that would fit for him. I don't know. He might be playing for the Shanghai Sharks next year.
Well, and it looks like he's not going to be playing for the Australian team as well.
He probably wouldn't make the Australian team.
Well,
let's see your shot, Ben. No.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the one thing I thought about, and I'll ask you this, and I don't know how these things work out with salaries and different things, and I know that Zion Williamson wants out of New Orleans, and I'm not saying that it's possible to trade Ben Simmons for him. Now, obviously, Zion would not fit on the Sixers. But my thought would be then he goes to the Knicks and Julius Randle comes here.
I mean, I've thought Julius Randle myself.
The Knicks would, I think that the fan base would vote to get Zion because they wanted him to begin with.
Yeah, I guess he's probably due for a contract anyway, right? He hasn't signed a contract yet.
No, and apparently, I mean, his family's not happy with him in New Orleans. I don't know what that means. I don't even know if the Pelicans care if he's happy there or not.
Yeah, really.
But we have you. You're staying here, and we're going to offer you the max and see if you take it or not. I just know I saw some of those reports before, and it wasn't so much the idea of, well, let's see if he can be on the Sixers. It was like, no, let's see if Ben Simmons can get him, and then who would take him, and that was the first thought that came to my mind.
Maybe see. I think if you're going to move Simmons for a better player, a Lillard or a Williamson or somebody like that, you're going to have to package him. You can't. It's not going to be just Simmons anymore. It's going to have to. It's going to have to be that package that the Lowry type package, but include Simmons, of course. You're going to have to give a Maxey. You're going to have to give a Thibault.
Well, even I think it would take that to get McCollum out of Portland.
I think maybe you could do Simmons for McCollum straight up.
I don't even know that at this point. At this point, which that's really saying something. And for those of you who are following along, number one ace Zach Wheeler couldn't even get to the fourth inning as the Phillies are losing to the last place Washington. I think Washington's in last place. I'm not sure. Yeah,
they've been playing decent. They're either in last or tied for fourth with Miami.
Yeah, with Miami.
Yeah.
So get the home run from Harper. It's 3-1 in the top of the fourth, and probably that's all the runs the Phillies are going to get.
Slow game.
Yeah.
How's he out of the game in the fourth? What did he throw? 100 pitches, 3 innings?
Yeah, without having the sound on, I know he was getting hit around. He wasn't hitting his spots. I don't think they said anything about him having an injury.
Injury. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
I have the staff pulling it up.
Okay. Good.
Let's see.
Yeah, while we're on the Phillies, wasn't it exciting to see them go out west and lose 4 out of 6?
What did we say on the show? You asked me how many games they'd win. I said 1.
1, yeah.
Pretty close.
Well, and that was the thing. The first game that they won was an excellent game pitched by Zach Wheeler, even though he struggled in the first, and the bullpen had to come in, and the bullpen was very good it was Alvarado who was good in the 7th and the 8th in that game, and then Neris had the craziest save I've ever seen in my life. But and they did manage to win the Aaron Nola start in San Francisco only because they put up 2 touchdowns with missed going for 2. And it wasn't Aaron Nola. I mean, Aaron Nola is. I mean, at this point, Aaron Nola is number 5 starter on the team.
Yeah. 73 pitches tonight for Wheeler. Something must have happened. He should have at least came out for 1 more inning.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think anyone. I don't know if his spot was up.
No, they didn't hit for him. They didn't pinch it.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I look at things too, I look at the situation with the Sixers, and you do look at the general manager, and I mean, Cass, you have some faith in the general manager, correct?
I do. Yeah, from what I hear. I mean, I hear he's not afraid to make a move. Now, is it going to be not afraid to make a move, or I want to make the right move? Is the question. I mean,
well, is he going to pull a Ben Simmons when it comes to making a move? Because he didn't do that with James Harden. It was the fact that the Sixers did not have enough in the way of draft picks to send to Houston. They just didn't. Unfortunately, the Nets did, and they were able to.
Yeah, because it definitely wasn't players.
No, it just came down to draft picks. And it may have just come down to a thing too, where the Rockets were like, well, we're not helping out our ex general manager.
No.
And yeah, I do.
He wouldn't have made a difference anyway because he got hurt.
That's true. He was out there at least in games.
Yeah.
and wasn't afraid to take some shots. He was missing them, but he wasn't afraid to take a few there in the fourth quarter, especially. But
no, James Harden's never afraid to take a shot.
No.
You know that. What's your secret to staying up late? I can't do it. I can't watch the West Coast games. I can't.
My secret for staying up late is the fact that I don't have a job that causes me to get up in the morning.
Even that, I wouldn't be able to stay up that late. What are they on, about 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, 1:30, yeah. And I'm surprised now that they have, because they did not used to do this. They did not used to have the Phillies post game live following West Coast games, but they do now.
Oh wow!
Which I'm surprised by.
Are they're in studio too?
Yep.
Wow.
In studio, yeah.
That must be tough for Ricky.
No, it was Michael Barkan and Ben
Davis.
I haven't seen Ricky Metallico. I don't know if he was on tonight or not. If he's going to be following, because I did catch the pregame, so I don't know. I can check his Twitter and see if he's tweeting. If he's tweeting, then he's doing the postgame.
Okay.
That's usually how it works. And where I was going to spin this was I'm trying to look at some positive things here in Philadelphia sports. Okay, the Phillies. If you take a look at the Phillies, they're a team that has absolutely no chance whatsoever this year. Okay, I think we know that. But once again, look at the general manager, and there's where you have to put your faith in him. Is he a guy who at trading deadline is going to say, I need to sell because this team can't win, and is he going to be able to get players back who can turn this around? Or in the offseason, can he do that because Dombrowski has a history of winning?
Well, if you're going to sell, who are you going to sell? We don't have anybody to sell.
Well, Aaron Nola, Zach Eflin.
You're saying sell for draft picks.
Well, either that or prospects, of course.
No, I didn't mean draft picks. I meant prospects.
Yeah.
You had me talking for the Sixers trade.
I don't know. I don't know some of this, because the Phillies don't need any draft picks.
No, they need prospects, and a guy like Aaron Nola, you would have to get top prospects.
You would try. Yeah, you're right.
Because not everybody in the other cities sees what we see. I don't think they realize. We call him a 5-starter. They probably still see a guy to finish third in Cy Young voting.
Well, and the thing too is a team I think who would take a shot on him is the San Francisco Giants. Now, what they would have to give up, I'm not sure. There's probably a bunch of other teams who are in contention too who would look at somebody like that and take a shot. The only thing is you can't look at his postseason track record to see how he's going to do in the postseason.
Exactly. Well, now that basketball's over, I'll be sharper on my baseball. I'll look at the prospects and.
We still got the Stanley Cup going on, and the team that you've picked, the Lightning. My goodness,
yep,
they weren't fooling around last night. I was watching some of that, and I'm like, well, Captain will be bringing them up at some point tomorrow night.
Well, you know why I'm not, right?
Yeah, I know exactly why.
Because both my paired teams lost in consecutive nights at home. Two home teams lost the Game 7 consecutive nights. I didn't think Brooklyn could lose to Milwaukee. I still can't believe they lost to them.
Well, and listening to Charles Barkley, he he was on this before the playoffs started. He said Milwaukee's going to win it.
I don't know what he would. How?
I know he hasn't been right recently, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too. Like you said, it should come down to Milwaukee and Phoenix, and that'll be an interesting series.
I got myself a free bet on DraftKings by you make three live bets, you get a free $5 bet. So
Okay, cool.
I got my new one. It's I went a little more obvious this time, I think. Well, not with all three. I took the Cowboys to win the division. I took Cincinnati to win the division, the Reds. That's a little long shot. They're 4 games back. And Atlanta, the Hawks.
Okay. Hey.
So Milwaukee will probably be going to the finals.
Yeah.
They had Phoenix on there as a sweep was one of their odds boosts. They had them 11-1 to sweep the Clippers. Without Kawhi, that might not be a bad bet.
Well, game two is a safe bet that you bet against the Clippers because that's been their pattern so far this year. This year, the playoffs going down 0-2.
Yeah.
It's worked out for them. Yeah, and an interesting thing too was, and this was the question, just circling back real quick here to Ben Simmons. As I see, it is 8:43 p.m. on the East Coast here. We kind of thought maybe we wouldn't have much to say, but we do.
Yeah.
And I guess I know we look at the situation, and I remember a while ago when the Sixers had Jerry Stackhouse, and they moved Jerry Stackhouse, and they were talking to him afterwards, and he used a term that I don't know if it would apply now, but he said, well, I get what they're doing. This is an addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
And my thing that I was saying about Ben Simmons was not having Simmons here. I mean, I know you want to try to get somebody for him to say, okay, look, that turned into a positive, that trade, or look at this, whatever. But is it just a positive going forward to not have him?
You know, first, going back to Stackhouse, who says that about themselves?
I know.
I can't see Simmons ever saying something like that.
Right. And that's exactly what the thing about it was right. Him and Iverson couldn't play together.
Yeah. If you look at it from that standpoint, yes. Here's the one thing you absolutely cannot do, though. I don't believe you can trade Simmons to anybody in the East because you can't take the chance that he gets right and comes back and beats you.
Yeah, unless it's the one thing I said. Unless it's Washington, I don't know. If you get Westbrook, I guess you would have to try it, and that would always be in the back of your mind. You know, if he turns into the player everyone thinks he can turn into, but
why not Beal? I mean, I'd rather maybe put a package and try to get Beal, and you keep Maxey as your point.
Yeah, right. And the thing too is that there could be another young player that the Sixers may be able to draft because I mean look they did well drafting Maxey, so maybe someone would fall to him again. Because is it the lottery tonight?
Is it tonight? Yeah, it's usually in the second round.
Yeah, I think the lottery's tonight. I don't even know if it's taking place at this point yet.
Wow, that's something we used to look forward to as Sixers fans.
Where's that ping pong ball going to go?
I know. I used to know when the lottery was 10 games before the season ended.
True. Yeah, and it was always exciting to see who they were going to send there and find out where those ping pong balls were going to pop up. And I guess last year was it? I'm trying to think who had the first pick in the draft last year. I don't even remember.
Last year was Charlotte, right? LaMelo Ball, wasn't it?
I believe you're right because the year before was Zion Williamson. Yeah.
That's always been a pet peeve of mine too. The NBA draft lottery that they can't just put all the balls in a cylinder and show you live who gets it. Why does it have to be a envelope behind closed doors type of thing? That it seems like they fix it for whoever they want to win it.
Well, just to break in here, there's something going on with the Phillies because I think Max Scherzer has been cheating and been caught.
Wow.
I don't have the volume on here, but they have his hat off looking at his hair, and there's yelling back and forth in the dugout. Joe Girardi is out.
Girardi must have asked for it.
Yeah, Max is just shaking his head. I don't know.
Scherzer is saying, I'm trying to read the closed captioning.
Well, I don't know what the rule is. If they find out you did have a substance and it's illegal, what happens?
Well, I was just going to ask you because this morning before I left the house, I saw something with Jacob deGrom when they were talking about substances. Did he get caught too?
If he did, I didn't see it, and it wasn't brought up on any show that.
Look at this. Martinez said something to Girardi, and Girardi came running up the steps. Almost like, what are you accusing us for? There's nothing here. Scherzer's being transparent. He's showing him his hat, his glove, everything, his hair. Well, he's making fun of them. He's making fun of Girardi for asking. He showed his hair. He probably put hair gel in his hair.
Amazing. Yeah, this is something that's.
It must be widely known because that's they probably figured out that's why nobody was scoring because the pitchers were all cheating.
Well, and that's the thing. If he's cheating now, wasn't he cheating in the first inning? So shouldn't Washington have to forfeit the game?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say if he's cheating now, he's been cheating his whole career.
Well, true. And now they're showing it. He went to his hat.
The manager has a right to ask an umpire to check. Look at Martinez yelling at Girardi. I'm a little behind. I rewound it. Why is he being so defensive? Is there nothing there? You're allowed to question.
Well, they've taken a long time going through this.
Yeah, I don't know what the rule is. You asked me, I don't know. I don't think they've even come up with a rule. It's just something.
Well, this is definitely more exciting than the Phillies' offense and the pitching tonight. So at least they had something exciting in this game.
Yeah, well, it's 8:50. I think we need to do some sponsors and commercials.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. We'll take a little bit of a break. Do we have anything? There's nothing following us at 9.
No.
And the boxing show, is that coming on at Gloves Off? Will be coming on at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 11. Yeah, 11 on the East Coast. Yes.
Yeah, guys. All you guys listening. Let me talk to you a minute here about the Southern California Warriors. They're a semi-pro football team, and the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay and play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's to get film for tryouts for professional teams or whether it's to get films for tryouts to show to colleges or playing just to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players a second chance since 2017. So whether you are in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you have a love of sports, you or someone you know may get that second chance they've been waiting for as an athlete. Southern California Warriors can be found on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. They can also be found on Facebook at Southern California _Warriors. You can also find them on Instagram and IE Sports Radio Twitter, and it's the IE Sports Radio Instagram. Guys, check them out today, and we'll be back after the commercials.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap chop straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show on IE Sports Radio. This is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the final few minutes of Philly Sports Talk. It's been the Sixers funeral episode, and I think we got it out of our system. I mean, it has been 2 days later. It's gonna linger. It's gonna linger for probably a month. Then we'll start talking about new players that we acquire, players we get rid of. We'll get our hopes up, and then we'll probably be back in the same boat next year.
Let's hope not, but then again,
When aren't we?
The definition of insanity. So,
Yeah. Well, we're
saying over and over again, expecting a different result.
yeah. Well, this is this.
And you look going forward here. And fortunately, here in Philadelphia, we have 4 teams. Actually, if you throw the Union in there, we have 5 who actually they played a bad game against Atlanta on Sunday too. But
Yeah.
we won't win that. Anyway,
The Atlanta United.
it'd be nice to be able to roll into a baseball team that's playing well, and to focus on that, and to think that okay, there's a positive football season coming, and
Nope.
and maybe there is a positive football season coming. I don't think so.
Yeah, for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, Philadelphia, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see Jalen Hurts in his second season. It'll be interesting to see Devontae Smith and to see what happens.
Yeah,
And,
I am excited to see Smith.
yeah, and after game 2, he'll be out with an injury. And
Oh,
let's hope not.
I watched him play a lot in college, and that's all he did. He came limping off the field constantly.
Well, he only weighs $150.
Yeah, and he's not afraid of contact. He gets hit. He needs to turn into one of those guys that just dives down and doesn't take hard hits like a Tyreek Hill.
As I said, his number is number 6. He's got to be the sixer that saves us. I know that's putting a lot on him, but He's our best sixer going forward right now.
Yeah, it's a shame. And there's Jankowski not coming through as usual.
No.
How is he your first guy off the bench? That's pretty bad. A guy you just called up out of the minors.
Well, who else would you put up there? Matt Joyce?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I know Dave Dombrowski's got some work to do.
Oh my god. Let's go to something we can't be depressed about. NASCAR. Last week they were in Nashville, and the race was completely dominated by Kyle Larson. It's becoming the familiar story every week. Kyle Larson dominating no matter where they are. And this week they go to Pocono.
A track where it should play definitely in his hand.
Yep, a track where we'd probably pick him if he hadn't won the last couple weeks. So pretty much you could just fill in the schedule. Rest of the year, my pick will be Kyle Larson. I don't care if they're racing in my driveway or in Pocono or short track, road track. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, he probably win that race against that guy who's in Atlanta at the baseball games. He could probably run faster than that guy.
Was that the Flash? What's his name?
Yeah, whatever it is that they have out there. But it is interesting to see in a sport like NASCAR. It's been a sport that I followed for a long time since I went to college down south, and to see a guy like that emerge, it's interesting. And it's not like he's emerging from a field where there isn't stars, because there is Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. And there's and he's the guy right now.
Yeah, it's him and Chase Elliott are going to be the future.
Correct.
I thought Ryan Blaney was going to be, but he's taking a step back. I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a situation where it's his pit crew, if it's the ownership of the team, or if it's just one of those things to where you get to that point where hey, we've seen that where guys have had tremendous potential when they're falling off. It can happen in any sport.
I like the Ben Simmons the picture of him as a UPS driver.
If he wasn't 6'10".
Yeah, and I wrote he would misdeliver every package. I never got so many likes on a tweet.
How about my packages are never in the mailbox? Let me look here. Oh,
Yeah.
that's different.
I said he would try to put it at the front door and miss. He'd hit the neighbor's house.
Yeah, and I think what
You want to make a pick?
this week's race, that's what I was going to do. Of course, Mercy would be the pick, but because he's been so good there, and because it's about time, it's Denny Hamlin's race.
Okay, that's possible. I mean, he's always run good at Pocono. And Pocono's a track position track. There's not going to be much passing. It's the kind of track where they space out. It's a pretty boring race actually to watch.
As long as it doesn't come down to something near the end, or if it's I think Denny will have a much better race if it's a race without a lot of cautions.
Yeah. And Pocono is the track where I saw the biggest sham in the history of NASCAR, where a couple years ago when Chris Buescher stayed out and the rain came. He was the only car that stayed out, and he got the win.
Yes.
His one and only NASCAR win.
We don't have a Philly flashback tonight, but we do have a NASCAR flashback.
Yeah, that wasn't Philly. Well, Pocono's, if you call Pocono's Philly.
It's still our home track.
Yeah, well, actually, I think Dover might be closer.
I think Dover is. I'd have to look at that.
It's about the same distance the other direction.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've driven to both. It seemed like the ride to Dover wasn't as bad as the ride to the Poconos.
Okay.
It's close. It's probably both about 90 miles or so. Pocono's probably closer for you.
Yeah, Pocono is a little bit closer for me, correct. I did have a good memory of it's a wrestling memory from Dover, Delaware.
All right.
Guy who I was a partner with in ECW when I worked did ground promotions. And he was I was his assistant. He was the head ground promoter. And when ECW had kind of gotten to the point where they were coming to the end, he had started some independent wrestling, and that was some of the wrestling that I was on. But he also started an independent wrestling for, and it was women's wrestling. And I was driving to the show, me and a buddy of mine were driving to the show in Dover, and I got a call. There was a girl coming in from Orlando. I had to go pick her up at the airport, and the plane was delayed, and she was the headliner for the show. And when I went to pick her up, she was an interesting girl, really tall, muscular, and tattooed. And don't ask me what her name is.
The Fabulous Moolah.
I forget her name, but she was someone who was at one point she was like part of the American. I think it was American Gladiators.
Okay.
You remember that show?
Yep.
And then when we got there and met her, they had lost their luggage. So we got back to the show in time for her to have her match and everything, but it wasn't the best.
Well, how'd she have the match without her wrestling gear?
She had jeans on and a t-shirt.
Oh my God.
She made the best of it. The next night we were in Wilmington, Delaware, and she kind of borrowed some stuff from somebody else.
They never found the luggage?
No, I don't think they did.
The only thing I remember about women's was early on was the Glow, right? Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. They tried to push that on Saturdays.
Yeah, and that's what this was kind of an offshoot of. This had an extra this was called the Gorgeous Ladies of Oil Wrestling because so, it was in a wrestling ring. It was wrestling, but the girls kind of had a little bit of the oil and stuff. So that's what that was called. I'm pretty sure you can find some of the footage on either the internet, YouTube may have some of it.
Okay.
GLOOW, but that was fun for a while.
This is our NASCAR wrestling segment here on Philly Sports Talk. It has nothing to do with Philly Sports Talk, but just something we've morphed into and something we both enjoy. And I've been watching the dark side of wrestling, and I watched what's the guy's name that was murdered, that was killed?
Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, Bruiser Brody, a wrestler I don't remember, but absolutely crazy story about how he was stabbed to death in the locker room by Jose Gonzalez. Is that right?
Yeah, promoter.
He was a wrestler also, though. He was like the promoter and the wrestler. Yeah, he was the booker. He did everything. And Bruiser Brody had bought into the federation. Well, I don't know what it was. It was an ECC. It was something like that. It was like Continental Wrestling. And
I'm trying to think what the name of that was at the time down there in Puerto Rico. What that was called? That may have been Continental Championship Wrestling, CCW.
Yeah, it was 2 C's. Yep. So Bruiser Brody had he believed he had bought an interest in it, and he was going to get rid of Gonzalez, and he took him into the back and told him, and he came out with a stab wound. And who was there?
Yeah, apparently he had my understanding of it, which may be different than what they had on Dark Side of the Ring, was that Brody had let him know all this stuff, and it seemed like everything was good, and Brody was getting in the shower, and the guy shanked him.
The story was told by Teddy Atlas. Is that who it was? Teddy Atlas? Am I right saying Teddy?
It was probably Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas, yeah, Tony Atlas.
Yeah. He was a big name in the WWF.
He was a weightlifter, right?
What's that?
He was a big time weightlifter.
Oh yeah, he was Mr. USA at one point.
Yeah. So he told the story about how he came out, and he thought they were playing around, and he thought maybe he punched him, but then he said he stabbed me, and he said, he had known he was going to die, and he said, tell my wife and kids I love them. And he said, what are you talking about? And he called the ambulance. The ambulance took really long to get there because they were in Puerto Rico, and he rode with them in the ambulance to the hospital. And he said he got back to the venue, and they were laughing in the locker room. He said he wanted to kill that guy.
That's what happened too, where there was so much of that delay getting him there, and it was just a shock. I mean, and back then, a lot of guys did that when they would wrestle for different if you aren't, and even back then, if you were part of the big three, either WWF, NWA, or AWA at times, you would still wrestle other times for other companies and other promotions, whether in Puerto Rico, Japan, Mexico, places like that. And Brody was a big draw. And I knew him from watching him wrestle out of Fort Worth, Texas, where he was part of the Von Erichs wrestling company down there, World Class Championship Wrestling. And yeah, I was just shocked when I heard the news that something like that happened to him then. I mean, I was back where I was junior high school at the time.
Wow. Man, the guy just flat out got away with murder.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
He said it was self-defense.
And there have been a lot of stories, and especially being with ECW for a period of time, guys had worked in Puerto Rico, and it was one of those things too, where if you went to Puerto Rico and you were someone who was liked by the promoters, you could do extremely well, but if not, it was hell.
Yeah, it seems like it was extreme though. It was always the blood and spikes and thumbtacks, and they're always that in Japan also was. I guess the fans like that, right? They like the blood.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff had caught on there in the 90s in Puerto Rico, and a lot of it had started in Japan. A guy by the name of Atsushi Onita kind of was the guy who started what kind of morphed into being called hardcore wrestling, where it was more using weapons, more club. And you saw that if you watched the Mick Foley, you would have seen some of the stuff that him.
Well, he was on there. He was actually on the Brody episode. He said he tried to model his career after him.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because I was listening, and you bring this up. I was listening to an interview with this was a number of years ago with Ric Flair.
Woo!
And he was talking. Somehow they got into the Brody incident. And Flair went on to tell this story about some different things that had gone on. And he said he was there, and everyone in the comment section was like, "No, you weren't. You were in Greensboro that." It was just, and he told it like he was right there, and it was on the thing. It was like, "No, you weren't. You were in Greensboro."
Oh my God!
You were the world champion for the NWA wrestling. But that was just kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how wrestling can be sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, there's stuff on YouTube as well with Tony Atlas talking about it, and it's very interesting hearing Tony Atlas these days. And for anyone who was into wrestling back older and things like that, Tony Atlas had a big feud. I think it was in 1980 with Hulk Hogan, and he actually was had a match at the Spectrum where he pinned Hulk Hogan.
Well, before he was Hulk Hogan.
Well, he was Hulk Hogan then, but
Yeah.
before he came back as the savior after Bob Backlund had lost the belt to the Iron Sheik in '84. So this was in '80 when Hogan was the heel, the bad guy, and he had a bunch of matches back then too with Andre the Giant, where and you can watch these on YouTube where Andre they wrestled at Shea Stadium, they wrestled at the Spectrum a few times, and that was a different Hulk Hogan back in 1980 versus '84.
That was it was Terry Bollea, right?
That's his real name. I think when he broke in, he was either Terry Boulder or Terry Golden. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. Golden, I think it was. I knew he was one different name at one time. Right?
Yeah. Our Phillies aren't faring too well, are they, Cash?
I'm behind you. I guess Hoskins gets out here.
Oh, yeah.
I still see 3-2. I'm sure he strikes out. No. Pop up.
When do you see this play? This is like the Trae Young 3 the other night.
And, well, on a positive note, Scherzer's thrown 97 pitches and threw 5. Into 5, actually.
Well, yeah, but half of them have had illegal substances.
Yeah, I got something. I said pop up. Josh Bell's going to make this catch. Yeah, of course he is. Josh Bell.
You're that far behind me.
Former Pittsburgh Pirate, Josh Bell.
Yeah.
All right, well, going forward, guys, I'm going to be brushed up on baseball. The show's going to become baseball. We're going to lead off with Phillies. It's going to be We're going to talk, pennant races. We're going to do, playoff push. We're going to try to put the Sixers in the rear window, and we'll talk about moves this summer, who they can pick up, who's going to become a free agent. We'll go over that. We'll bury hockey. Then we'll truly transition into the Eagle season.
Yeah, it'll be here probably before we know it, and hopefully all the fathers out there who are listening had a good Father's Day. Besides the fact of what took place in South Philadelphia, and going forward, with just having baseball as the main sport going on, there will be other little tangible things that we can talk about, inside things and notes that happen with our other teams, and we'll talk about what's going on in the sports world. And next week we'll talk about where the ping pong balls probably fell, and also where things are in the playoffs. And we'll be discussing that the Phillies are 9 or 10 games out after a weekend series with the Mets. So,
or there'll be one game back.
Well, one or the other.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you to Taryn for joining us on the chat board. Thank you to Taylor who'd message us. Thank you to Shane who'd message us. Everybody else who listened.
And guys, on all social media, make sure you guys check out Southern California Warriors. You can also check them out for sure on Twitter and also on the IE Sports Radio Twitter or Facebook. Check out the Southern California Warriors. And you guys have listened to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all that sports. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. See you guys.